It would seem as though.
Oh my god. Hi.
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 How are you this morning?
You know what? I've never been better. Well, I've been better. But today I'm
Just
better.
not recently.
Yeah, no. I'm doing better than I have been in the past, week. But, yeah, I'm here. I'm awake. I'm energized.
Thank you.
Am I?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So cute in your Daisy Duck shirt.
Oh my god, thank you.
Yeah.
I got it specifically for when we went to Disneyland. It's a men's, and then I cut the neckline out of it.
It's very Flashdance of you.
Well, I really love this. Off the shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's so cute. Anyway,
a
sorry.
men's t-shirt for me is like a box.
Ooh, yeah.
So you have to do something to give it a little shape.
Well, and this is like a 2XL or something. Like, I ordered it big so I could have it. Because I'm not... Girl, let me tell you. Sorry, this is not the topic, but men's shirts, I do like the length of them.
Yeah.
Because women's shirts, they do have a curve to it, which is great, but also I'm 20 feet tall and my torso is about 19 feet of that, so I need a shirt that's going to hit the curve at the right place, and women's shirts
your
never
legs
do.
are 1 foot long.
Yeah, make it make sense. Make it make sense.
Welcome to another week of It Would Seem As Though, the podcast where we talk about anything, everything, and nothing.
Mostly nothing.
I'm Vesta.
I'm Annika. Sorry, I was mid-sip.
That's okay. You're having your coffee, you're getting your morning together. Or your tea, I guess.
Waking up, yeah.
I'm having my pretend coffee that probably has no real coffee
Your
in it
peppermint
anymore.
chocolate milk.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly.
With whipped cream.
Yeah.
Because I'm 5.
Because every day is Christmas in our house.
Right. Why not?
Yeah. And I like that but it's not hot chocolate. It's just chocolate milk because it's iced.
It's
so,
cold chocolate.
Yeah. Or we just call that chocolate milk.
Right. With a little peppermint flavoring, a little tiny coffee flavoring.
Yeah.
No caffeine.
No.
Can't have that. It'll kill
can't
me.
have it. Yeah, dead.
Oh, my God. So the Republican National Convention just happened.
We're starting big. We're swinging big.
I am swinging big. A couple things about that.
Okay, I'm ready.
One, and I don't know if you've seen the pictures, but oh my God. You know, we were talking about cults recently.
Yeah.
You want to talk about a cult?
Yeah.
The cult of Donald Trump.
Are they all wearing the ear patch?
They were all wearing an ear patch.
Girl. You know what?
In solidarity with their guy.
It's so reminiscent to me of when Nelly used to wear like a Band-Aid on his face. Like, no, I don't know why he did it.
Did all of the Nelly fans wear Band-Aids on their faces?
But it became trendy, like, for a hot minute, right? But it's funny to me.
Did it?
Briefly. And not with, like, everybody. But, like, it was a thing that you'd see some people with Band-Aids on their face. And it wasn't, like, now where they have pimple patches that are, like, sunshines with smiley faces or whatever.
Those crack me up.
Okay, do you want to know what I find so funny about it? It's because I like history a lot. And so I learned years ago that, you know, back in France, sex was a big thing. Back in France.
And nowhere else.
And nowhere else. All people stem from France. No, but the women of the night, the sex workers, would wear little fake mole patches to cover, like, their little outbreaks, right? Of, like, syphilis.
Herpes. Syphilis, yeah.
Yeah. Some, you know, sexually transmitted issue. And, but they would use those to cover it, so you couldn't see it.
Right.
But now it's funny to me that women and girls are walking around with, like, hearts, stars, horseshoes, clovers, and blue moons all over their face.
So they're wearing Lucky Charms on their face.
Kind of. And they're just walking around like it's normal. And I think it's great, because I'm all about the weird. But, like, it's funny to me that the little most basic girl ever is now wearing, like, full color pimple patch on her face. And 4 of them and going to school.
If you would rather be seen with a little unicorn on your face and not a horn of some sort, you know, it's like, zits are gross.
Gross, yeah. No,
and if you can cover them with something decorative and nobody's going to go, why do you have a
It's
patch
very
on your
funny.
face?
It's just like the reinvention of, like, the covering of the pustule for, like, social acceptability.
Well, because, you know, when I was young, you just put a whole lot of makeup over and it looked like a crusty zit covered in makeup.
Gross.
It was gross.
Yeah.
And nothing you did, it's like, oh, you're zitty, but all your zits are tan.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. It's
Ugly.
gross.
Ugly.
So, whatever.
Yeah.
So, that was one thing.
Okay.
2, as we were just talking about before we went on air, Matt Gaetz.
Yes.
And his new face.
That queen. Yes.
Oh my God. He looks... First of all, whoever did his face should be fired.
Girl.
Because he looks like some cartoon villain.
For real.
I mean, with those weird eyebrows.
He doesn't even... Like, you know, it looks like someone was like, hey, can you draw a picture of what Matt Gaetz would look like as a supervillain? And they were like, yeah. And they did that. Like, his makeup is so much heavier now, but his nose is slimmer. He had a jaw contour. His forehead was contoured. His eyebrow has been lifted. Like, he looks so different and so uncanny valley to me that I'm like, what is wrong with you? His eyebrow raise makes him look insane.
It does. Well, it also makes his brow crease, his lid crease, look literally like it's something that's been carved in.
Girl, whose lid crease is the most prominent feature on their face? Matt Gaetz. You know what I mean? Well, they stick out. It's a Grand Canyon.
It made me think of, so 100 years ago I worked with this young woman who was from China.
Okay.
And she was telling me one day that she was going back to China for a friend's wedding. And while she was there, she was going to have some work done. And I'm like, okay, what are you getting done? And she was telling me all the things. And one of the things she was having done was having her eyes done so that she would have a crease, so that she would look more Western.
So she wouldn't have hooded eyes.
And that's what it looks like to me. That's what his face looks like to me. Like he went and had... It's like, well, he didn't look Asian to begin with. He should be so lucky. He looked like, paste.
Yeah, corn-fed white boy.
The other thing that is so funny to me is there were so many undercover queens at the RNC that Grindr crashed. So in 2016, when they had their convention, suddenly, the week that all of those people were in town, the Grindr application downloads went up by 125%.
That's insane.
And they all ended, amazingly enough, right after the convention was over. They were removed from it. Whatever.
It's just so...
This time...
Yeah. It crashed.
It was in such record-breaking numbers that it literally crashed the site.
God, let me tell you, those repressed Republican gay men are horny.
They are. And they're the same ones who are going to try and pass all the laws to outlaw all queer things.
That's what I'm saying. Matt Gaetz thinking that gender-affirming care doesn't work. Bitch, you just had someone else's face transplanted onto yours. Don't tell me about gender-affirming care doesn't work, bitch.
Just give her some long hair and she's Caitlyn Jenner.
Oh, honey, that's what I'm saying.
Just as hideous.
They have the same politics.
They do have the same politics. And I don't understand that either. Caitlyn Jenner, I get that you're a rich, whatever.
Dumb bitch.
Republican, I guess.
Yeah.
But you're also now a trans woman?
Yeah.
Publicly. I mean, I guess she always was.
And obviously. A lesbian, because now if she's in a relationship with a woman.
Okay.
A much younger
So you're
woman.
definitely, that's 2 feet into the queer community, and you're still anti all of that, and you're still on Trump's team, and you're still going for... It's like,
so weird,
Can you not see...
It's so weird.
What the Republicans are trying to do to the queer community?
Yeah, but she doesn't feel like she's... Well, and she's not a part of it. You know what I mean? Like, yes, technically, her identity does cross over. But she's not a part of it because she's rich. And rich trumps literally everything, Because who cares if she doesn't have healthcare? She can afford to get healthcare. Who cares if she can't afford... Or they
Well,
ban
the fact that she went and had surgery...
Yeah.
And paid for... And, it's no issue because she went and paid for the whole thing herself.
Out of pocket.
And she had it all done very quickly. Whereas most people who are getting it done... It's a long process.
Yeah.
But she was all like, but I've got money.
Yeah, so what do you mean, what process?
So we have to do it quickly because I'm also in the public eye.
Yeah.
So I can't be looking like I'm halfway... Although she looked very feminine for years with all the work she'd had done to her face.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, when your whole face has changed shape, like all of your children...
Baby.
I'm sorry, but,
Yeah,
people are going to notice.
I have said many a time that one of my favorite things to when I'm feeling sad, I go and look at the beginning of Kylie Jenner's face and then what it's looked like throughout the years, and I think, God, at least I'm not sad with money, bitch, because guess what would happen? I would be a trout mouth fucking bitch too, with a huge butt, and I wouldn't be able to walk or sit down or whatever.
Racially ambiguous.
Yeah, people will be like, "What are you?" And I'd be all, "Wow, bigot."
How racist.
Yeah.
How dare you.
Yeah.
Ugh. So, of course, the big news right now, the biggest of the news, is the election news of Joe Biden dropping out of the campaign. Now, it's been predicted ever since the debates, that would or should happen.
Yeah,
and my thought all along and I still think it should and could happen,
Yeah.
is that he should just step away entirely so that Kamala will be president.
He should just disappear.
Right. I mean, he should just go, you know what? Fuck all of you. I'm done.
Yeah.
I am 81 years old. I need to retire and go live with my lovely, very brilliant wife. Because his wife is very, very smart.
She's a doctor.
So, yeah.
She's a Dr. Joe Biden. I know.
Yeah.
Girl.
Yeah. But then make Kamala president.
Sure.
And then, even if she doesn't win...
Have her sign like 27,000 executive orders.
Right.
Have her change the Constitution.
All the things.
All the amendments. Yeah.
But then we will officially have our first woman president.
And then what? People can't say, oh, I'm not going to vote for her. We can never have a black woman president. Guess what? We already did, bitch.
One done.
I know. Look, I'm like just over it because there's such a... let me tell you. Do you want...
I'm just going to say, with you rocking back and forth, I'm sure your voice is also going in and out with the microphone.
I don't give a shit. They'll get over it, won't they? What I was going to say before you so rudely interrupted me about my stimming, that is discriminatory.
Oh, my God.
I know. So, anyway, what was I saying?
Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah, that's honestly... Wow, that is what my brain sounds like 90% of the time. Here's what Republicans and Securvatives, that's what they are now.
The Securvatives?
The Securvatives. They, this is what they're doing right. You want to know what it is? Is that from the oldest of their generation to the newborns, they all are like, for the most part, are standing on the same platform.
Yes.
Here's the thing with people who are quote unquote liberal or leftist or whatever. The generations, older generations and younger generations do not see eye to eye on a lot of things in their own party.
Yeah.
And it's not even a party thing because younger generations have been raised differently. You know, we've been raised... Well, millennials, my generation, and Gen Xers are raising the generation now. So they're raising them to, you know, be who they are and whatever the case may be. Like, dye your hair, be queer, you know, Black Lives Matter, all of the things. But the older generation of people still like, no, you need to work hard, you need to buck up, you need to... The American dream bullshit. You know what I mean? Because there's still that huge buy-in from like the older generation who saw what quote unquote hard work would do for you. But that's not the same. That's not the reality for my generation. That's not the reality for the younger generation. Like, it's like the older generations were handed this country that could have been like rich and beautiful and strong and was for a hot minute, and then took it and raped it of all its resources and then said, all you have to do, kids, is work hard and go to school and have a job and get married and have all the shit that was possible in their life. That's not possible now.
No.
You know what I mean?
And that's the other thing is people of my generation, because I'm, as we mentioned before, I'm the very tail end of the boomers.
She's right in the heart of boomer.
God. Don't... So many of... I mean, because a lot of course, a lot of my friends are my age or older.
Yeah.
I mean, I have younger friends, too, but...
Oh, she's cool. Did you hear that? I have younger friends,
But when I talk to people my age, I hear a lot of that, well, nobody wants to work, and blah, 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 and all this gender stuff is confusing. Sure it is.
Bitch, shut up.
You know what? It is confusing. I get that. But if it's not your journey, why do you care? All you have to care is that if somebody tells you what their name is, what their pronoun is,
you use those.
You use it.
That's
you know, and all of these people, I'm going to jump back to the RNC. You know, they're all like, "Why don't use pronouns?" Well, if you don't use pronouns, then your conversation is going to be real weird.
You do.
And you know, your name wasn't that when you were born.
And bitch.
Neither was Hulk Hogan's, but you introduced him as Hulk Hogan.
Oh, baby.
That's not his God-given. That's not his Christian name.
No.
But you have no trouble calling him Hulk Hogan.
No.
You have no trouble with the things that you want to have, the things that are on your side. Do you think Kid Rock's real name is Kid Rock?
Probably.
Maybe.
His mom was real dumb.
Yeah. But it's like, so you have no trouble calling these people by the name they chose, but if, you know, Becky down the street decides to become Bob, you're like, nope, can't do it, can't call you anything else.
Weird, defying God. I just, that's the biggest issue. And I think that has been the biggest issue with the left with liberals for a long time. Okay, sorry. My cat thinks
Who thinks she's a dog?
Yeah, is picking. You had like, oh, sorry, my dog ate my homework. My cat is sitting up here fucking picking up papers and dragdolling them. No, ma'am, you don't get to have any of that. None of this is for you.
She's all, but I'm a dog.
I know, she's like that. Did you say I'm 22 pounds, Mom? I'm a dog.
And what are you gonna do?
I know, a fighter, I guess. Take her outside, boxer. But that, I think that has been the liberal issue for a long time. And don't come at me, bitches. Like, I am very leftist, but I'm like leftist. Like, that's why that's why I'll, what I believe in is considered radical, just people being housed and fed or whatever. But the differentiation between the generations is what kills politics. And I think maybe that has always been the case, but we're leaving. Sorry, the boomers are kind of the last of it. Do you know what I mean? I know there are still... what's before the boomers? I don't know. The greatest generation? The silent generation?
I think it's the greatest generation.
The older ones, right? Like grandma's age and shit.
Yeah.
Like, they're old as fuck, right? They're in like their 80s at least. And so then the boomers, you're at the youngest of the boomers. So after this, the world will change a lot, I think, because of how Gen Xers, Millennials, Gen Z were raised, because we were raised predominantly with the internet. This is getting into a time where people were raised with like high-tech shit, where people weren't, working a farm or growing up in a small town. It wasn't the same, same ideals. It's changed so much, and the internet has really connected us more so than any other generation.
Just from my generation to Gen X, which is the next generation from mine. And I mean, I look at all of the Gen X stuff when they post it on TikTok and stuff. And most of it, I'm like, yeah, that was my life too.
Yeah.
Because I am of that age. But it's like, most Gen Xers were feral.
Yeah.
They were latchkey kids.
Totally.
They had to do for themselves. There literally was a commercial that would run every going, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? Oh, I'm sorry. You have to be reminded you're a parent? Hopefully it's 10 o'clock. Your children are in bed.
Yeah.
But each generation seems like they have shifted so far from the one before it.
Yeah.
Because that is a huge shift from, like, people of my generation. I mean, even just the latchkey part. Because mostly moms stayed home.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And then in that generation, moms started really more. I mean, it's happened forever that moms have worked outside of the home.
Yeah.
But it became very common.
Yeah.
In like the 70s and 80s and up.
Here's the thing, because moms have always worked outside the home, but the moms who are working outside the home are black and brown moms. White moms stayed inside the home.
Fair.
Right? So then in the 70s and 80s and whatever, white moms, because that's after the whole, like, the feminine mystique. Like, I'm so bored as a housewife, essentially. And they were done taking laudanum. They're like, I can't do this anymore. So then that was the thing. Is like the whole women's revolution was like, well, freedom, like our strex. Jesus, am I stroking out? Our sex is just as strong, etc., etc. But yeah, it's very interesting to me that it changed that dynamic so intensely.
Well, and it is important to remember that you're right. It was white women who were now who had been able all along to stay home.
Yeah.
Who now were like, I have to go to work.
Right. Yeah.
Or I choose to go to work because, like you said, I'm bored.
Yeah.
I want because about that time was also the shift where women could have credit, where women could buy homes.
Yep.
Where women could have their own credit cards.
Well, in contraception.
Because if you think about the fact that when my generation, women weren't even allowed to have a credit card in their own name. They were allowed to have...
the 70s?
That was
60s?
the early 70s, I think.
Okay.
So I think... I would have to look that up, and I don't believe in looking at facts.
I don't believe in it.
I'm just all about what I feel.
Yeah, it's my opinion.
My feelings are more important.
As we talked about earlier, alternative facts.
Right?
We're bringing it back.
Yeah. But... it makes sense that all of these pampered white women were like, well, now I can have my own shit. Yeah. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to make a living. I'm going to do whatever.
Yeah.
Sorry, kids, you're kind of on your own.
Yeah.
The idea of that is so crazy to me because the way I was raised is there was always someone home.
Yeah.
There was no latchkey anything. And, my mother didn't even go to work outside the home until all 6 of us were in school.
Yeah.
So it is very different. And then, so beyond Gen X, then your generation, are you the next one after Gen X?
Gen X and millennial, yeah.
Yeah. You were the first generation who was literally raised all with computers, with cell phones, with all of those things. So that became a very different world.
Well, and I would say that, like, it was Y2K, right? Y2K, towards Y2K is when really cell phones, internet super picked up, you know? Because a couple things. One, I think being raised in a tiny town by an old woman, my perspective of my generation was different. You know what I mean? I knew it was popular in pop culture because I had cousins that were my age, because I had siblings and whatever. But I was raised by grandma, who was the greatest generation.
Yeah.
You know, like, my parents are boomers, you know, like, and so, and then most of my siblings a lot of my siblings are Gen X, you know, and so, like, I feel like as a little kid, and again in a small town, there was such, like, a combination. I don't feel like generations really apply as much when you're in small town. It's really cultural centers. You know what I mean? Because Carleton, you know what I mean? People did the same shit literally forever. Yeah. And I think that's one reason why I wanted, as I got older, to study society. Because I think that it shows us, like, this is how this generation, and maybe not even in the context of generation, but from this time period to this time period, this was how the job market was, the social aspect. This is how all these things were, and so you can study it from, like, you know, decade to decade. And then you can break it down to generation to generation just to see how things flourished and how different things were. And so I don't think that, I know there's a lot of traditionalists and, like, conservatives and who want to go back, you know, and, like, Project 2025, essentially, like, repealing everything and instituting, like, really...
They want to take it back to, like, the 1800s.
Yeah, it's like, we're going to just horse and carriage everywhere.
Well, except, you know, it's funny you say that, because they want to take all of the standards kind of back to the 1800s, but they want to keep pushing the industrial stuff and don't give a fuck about the environment.
Oh, no, not at all. No.
So it's like, we want to keep trashing the environment, but let's take all of what we consider our moral standards back to, you know, the 1800s.
Yeah.
So thinking about what you said with the conservatives, you know, and the next generation, the next, all kind of being in the same platform, it makes me think of when we had foster boys, and the ones who you could tell were raised in conservative households were the ones who would say things like, well, I don't believe in gay marriage, or I don't think being queer is, you know, I don't accept that lifestyle, or I don't approve of that lifestyle. Well, who asked for your approval? But at that point, they're just regurgitating shit they heard their parents say.
Well, yeah, and shit sometimes they find, like, innocuous, being like, well, I don't think women should do X, Y, Z. Say anything. Women shouldn't, you know, work outside the home. I know that's really extreme. But some of those foster boys had really interesting ideologies. But again, it was their parents.
Well, how many boys do we have, though, who were raised in the country? You know, and
most of them.
Though this is, you know, absolutely just kind of generalizing and whatever, stereotyping. But how many people from the country are conservative?
Ignorant.
Well, I was going to go with conservative, but anymore, conservative feels ignorant to me because they believe all of the shit that comes out of the Cheeto's mouth.
Well, like, in general, though. Do you know what I mean? But they're... That's the hard part, is now I think we're seeing Republicans and conservatives, like, I don't know, quote unquote, waking up the ones who are like, I could never vote for Donald Trump. You know, like, he's a con man, he's crazy, whatever. The ones that are like Republicans that we know personally who would never vote for Donald Trump, you know? Yeah. But as a whole, the Republican Party is mostly unified. We can't say that about Democrats.
No.
At all.
Absolutely not.
You know.
But... You know, I started talking about the election stuff and then got way...
Not really, we're talking about politics, bitch.
Well, yes.
Sprinkled in.
Since the first debate happened, you know, and everybody, and I know we've talked about this on here before, that everybody was all, oh no, he's old.
Yeah.
Because he suddenly got old the week of the, the debates.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's 81. But he, you know, they've been talking about they needed to replace him. He needed to step down. He needed, but half the party, like you said, they're not unified. We're standing behind him. He's doing a great job. Blah blah blah. And it's like, he may be doing a great job.
Yeah.
but he is old.
Yeah.
And he's kind of feeble.
Yeah.
And whatever. And so for me, what I was thinking all along is, if he does step down, it should be Kamala.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things about her is she was a prosecutor
DA
before she was ever vice president.
Yeah.
She will. The idea that you have on one side a convicted felon, and on the other side you have a prosecutor.
Mm-hmm.
It's like one side is clearly very educated, and the other side makes shit up as he goes along. Yeah. I mean, if you heard anything he said, he says the most bizarre shit, and his people are like, "Yay, you're so..." Well, did you hear the whole thing when he was talking about electric batteries in boats?
No.
And, well, what happens if that boat starts to sink? Are you going to get electrocuted because it's an electric... Are you just dumb? And he then started, somewhere in the middle of his story, he saw a squirrel or something and started going on a whole different track because he's like, well, but you're over here in this boat that's sinking with this but what if there's sharks over there? What are you going to choose? The sharks... And, sharks kill people, but they don't mean to. But they do. I mean, honest to God, it was like...
Wow.
Do you have the biggest case of ADD ever? You can't even stay on topic of the topic you fucking made up.
Yeah.
And it's like... And when he said... Well, and I asked the guy...
Oh, yeah.
With the electric things.
The electric sinking boat.
And he said... That's a good question. No one's ever asked that question.
Because it's...
No one's ever asked it because it's idiotic.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you didn't ask because it's always the guy.
What I feel like is he has a deteriorating brain disease.
Yeah.
And someone gave him a bunch of cocaine. That's just... They're like, well, we got to keep him hyped. Do another... Rail this, bitch. Like...
One more line and you should be good to go.
You should be able to talk fast. It won't make sense, but you'll be able to talk.
No, it won't. And it's like, I also love that when he's talking and he'll just start making nonsensical sounds.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I do want you to know something, that Kamala Harris, I don't know the details, so I'm not going to get crazy and start spouting shit, so don't hate at me, bitch, is that she, so far, has already done something that, it's not like anti-Israel, it's more like, we're not going to... I'm not going to go to this event that is basically being hosted by the super PAC, and I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to, and it's the president always goes to this whatever event it is that has to do with Israel, and she didn't go as the vice president. She didn't go, and as the vice president, she breaks ties in certain situations, and she refused to vote on something. And I know this is all very vague. I'm very, very sorry.
That's okay.
But if that's true, I'm happy about that. I will tell you right now, I will obviously vote for Kamala Harris. One, because she's coherent. Two, because she has a proven track record of success.
Yes.
Personally, I would love to see a black woman who's also Indian, like East Indian, be president. Am I the biggest fan of Kamala? No, I'm not. But am I a bigger fan of Kamala Harris than Donald Trump? Yes, I am. But let's not lose track that the system is broken still, And what, more to your point about people being like, well, nope, don't care. Joe Biden's old, so is Donald Trump, but at least Joe Biden's not like a sociopath. I'm standing with him all the way. Sure. Until now, when he's like, no, I'm stepping down, here's Kamala Harris. Now you're all, oh, I'm with her. Oh, I'm with Kamala Harris. And I literally want to slap the shit out of so many fucking people because I'm like, yo... It is so exhausting. The same people who wanted to be like, well, this conversation should have happened a long time ago. You're right, it should have.
Yeah.
You're right, it should have. And you know what held it up? Old people. You know who held it up? Old people. Like, every single fucking time. Because the conversation about Joe Biden and whether he is fit for presidency isn't a new conversation. Do you know what I mean?
No,
it is not a new conversation. So for him to get up there and do this, like, pre-debate with Trump and have them both have Trump look better than him... How do you do that? Do you know what I mean? And I don't think Trump's better than him by any means.
But but that's it. He
was more coherent, girl.
Trump?
No, at that debate, 100%.
Oh, see, the parts I saw, he just sounded crazy.
Well, here's the thing. Trump sounds crazy, but Trump has something to say. Joe Biden was fumbling through talking in general, And like... And I don't want either of them to be president. So I'm glad it's going to be Kamala Harris. I hope she does good. I know that she will be good to the queers and the minorities. I hope that she is backing off from Israel. That would be great. And she reforms the prison system. That would be fantastic to me. There's lots of things. But overall, at this point, that's who I'm going to vote for. Because who else would I vote for?
I don't know. Because if somebody else is trying to come up the middle, that will just literally take votes away from the left. We'll see. As it always does.
We'll see.
But there's also this speculation going on as to who she'll choose as VP. Mm-hmm. And there's a list of people.
Okay.
The top of the list for most people is Pete Buttigieg.
Okay.
I mean, most people still can't say his last name.
Buttigieg. Booty edge.
It's like, once you hear it, it's not that hard.
Yeah, just say it.
Yes, you look at the spelling and you're like...
Buttigieg.
Buttigieg.
Hello, my name is Buttigieg.
Buttigieg.
Buttigieg. And girl, I got a booty gig. Oh, that sounds like a dick appointment.
Wow.
I know, girl, you heard it.
I did hear it.
Today. On It Would Seem As Though.
I have...
Dick appointments and booty gigs.
Booty gig. It's just a new booty call.
Yeah, booty gig.
Booty gig. But he's kind of the top of the thing.
Yeah.
But here's the thing about that, and here's my concern.
Tell me.
So Pete is gay.
What?
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah, and married.
Yeah,
and with children.
Oh God! Oh my God!
All the things that people on the right think is criminal.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my God.
But I think there's still enough of the left who are like, we can't have a black woman and a gay man.
Girl,
boy, that's too much.
Exactly what I was.
And I think that it's going to probably end up like when Obama ran for president, and he was like, I'm going to make this old white man my vice president, which of course was Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Because he's old and white, and that's what they're used to.
Yeah.
And I really feel like that's what's going to happen again. Is she's maybe not old, but there's probably going to have to be a straight white man.
Why? Who do you think she would choose? Other than Pete Buttigieg?
Well, because I don't know anybody's name.
Sure. You know that one man.
But there are several people that I saw this morning that are on the left.
Yeah.
They're obviously Democrats, but who are supportive of prison reform and LGBTQIA rights and women's rights and the important things that the right has already tried to destroy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can get it real quick, but
I'm all about women's rights, but mostly I'm about women's wrongs.
Who is being considered as vice president?
Oh, okay. Now she's gonna talk.
Well, I just saw this thing, and I was like, Senator Mark Kelly.
Mark.
Is that the only person you're going to show me?
Yeah, it's just Mark Kelly.
Well, look at him. He's an old white man with a bald noggin.
Arizona senator.
And from Arizona, which is a mostly red state.
Yeah. Is he a Democrat?
Yes.
Wow.
Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro.
Ben Shapiro's brother? I don't know.
Oh, God, no. That would be terrible. He was governor of Pennsylvania since 2023.
Okay.
And he beat a far-right opponent.
To death?
Yeah. Well, he'd had it with him. He was like, enough. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear. And you think Kentucky.
Yeah.
But Andy Beshear is also, in a red state, a Democratic governor, somehow won. He easily won his second term. And he is obviously pro all the things that we are. Women's right to choose. Gay rights. Women's rights. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer.
Oh, I know her. I don't know her, but I know of her.
She also is one who stands for all the same things that we stand for.
Mm-hmm.
Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker.
Sure, him, her. Them.
Look at him. Old white man. So probably he would be appealing to the ticket.
Yeah.
Because he's going to keep that woman from being too emotional,
Yeah.
But despite his looks, he actually is a very...
Despite how trollish he is.
I mean, honestly, he looks like he should be... I was nearly killed by your cat.
I know.
He looks like you would see him on the conservative side, right?
Yeah, well, he's white, so yes.
California Governor Gavin Newsom.
Okay, I know him too.
Right. Maryland Governor Wes Moore.
Westmoreland.
He's Maryland's first black governor.
Okay, I'm about it.
Yeah. But my concern also, of course, is you put 2 black people on that ticket, half the white people are going to go, man, that's
God,
too far.
It's happening.
I mean, it's bad enough she's a woman.
I know. They're going to be like, oh, God, they're taking over. We're the minority.
And again, the number 1 pick so far is Pete Buttigieg. It's also, he's 42 years old.
Yeah, that's perfect.
So he's at least...
So he could be vice president for 2 terms and then be president for 2 terms. And I like Pete Buttigieg. But
I do too.
Here's the other thing is he's like more of an American than most of these conservatives. He served in the military.
He sure did.
He did the things. You know, he's more of like a family man and an all-American man than most of these conservative motherfuckers. And I'm sure if he wasn't gay, he would be a Republican.
Right.
You know
you
what
think so?
I don't know if his ideals would be the same had he been born a
Oh, I see what
heterosexual
you're
man.
saying.
You know?
No, you're probably right.
Well, yes, I know.
North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper.
Roy Coops.
Yeah, he's been in the position since 2017.
I don't know any of these people, bitch. So you're just saying names.
I am just making names up mostly.
You could say John Jingle, Jacob Jingle, Schmidt.
And you'd be like, wait,
What?
his name is my name too.
I'd be like, his name is close to mine, but
the
it's
people
not.
always shout, I hate that. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. And I'm looking at this old man, I'm thinking, this is the one.
That's him.
Because old white man.
Like 96.
With his bald
Oh.
noggin and his white hair.
Just rub my face.
You know.
Yeah.
But he led the state through progressive policy wins in recent years, so he's...
Progressive policy wins. I'd like to know what that means.
He's a former school teacher.
That doesn't mean...
He served 6 terms as a member of the U.S. House. So, you know, he's one of those people who probably should just go lay down.
Yeah, he's all done.
Because he's old.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yes, we talked about this. I think at a certain age, if you're a certain age in politics, you get to be an advisor, but you get to have no actual control. You get to be like the queen and king regent, bitch. You don't get to have any actual power.
But several of the people on the list are... The youngest is Pete.
Oh, boot. Yeah.
But then there's several people who are in their 40s and 50s.
I love.
And so it's like much better than, you know...
Look,
80.
I would just...
And I have no issues with old people. I don't. I'm not ageist in any way.
Oh,
but
I am.
It just comes a time when you cannot do your job effectively.
Correct. Yeah. And like, why? Like, you should just stop. Just go lay down. Just be all done. Like... Or just advise them. That's fine. Give advisement. I don't understand why you need to be the president. Go be the Dowager King or whatever. I don't know what you are.
Well, you know, that's one of the things that until the last monarchy was the common thing is when you became too old, you would become the Dowager Queen or, you know, Queen Mum or whatever. Because... At that point, you're like, yeah, I'm too old to reign.
Yeah, I don't want to.
But Queen Elizabeth was like, I'm going to reign until I fucking die.
I love it.
Because she has the longest reign in history.
How long was that?
She started reigning in 1952, I want to say.
That's a lot of years.
And
72 years?
Until till 2023.
So
you do the math.
71
years, I think.
Yeah.
And that's the only one who's even close is Queen Victoria.
Okay.
Who people were like, yeah, she served way past her effectiveness. Which I think Elizabeth did too.
Her expiration.
But even though...
Serving what? Doing what?
Well, in Victoria's time, they actually had some power.
Yeah, but like...
In Elizabeth's time, they were more a figurehead.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But even at that, there comes a point where people go, okay, you're too old, too out of touch... You probably should be thinking about, you know...
She's all, fuck off. I was in the military and I had 20 corgis.
Listen, she not only was in the military, but she was a mechanic.
And didn't she hunt?
Yeah.
Yeah, see...
She hunted well up into her old age.
Did she, here's my question, is like, was she just riding a horse and someone said, there it is, shoot it, and then she would shoot it? Or did she actually, like, go out, find it, shoot it? Did she help, like, skin it and shit, too? Like, that's what question. I want to know.
I doubt it, because she didn't even dress herself. So probably not.
She's like, okay,
I'm not kidding about that, by the way. I mean, in the morning she probably like the little bit of it, but honest to God, she had a person who put on her clothes, zipped her up, put her shoes on her feet.
I mean, what a dream.
See, and to me, that's a nightmare.
Yeah.
The idea... I mean, if there was someone there to zip me up, sure. If there was someone there to make sure all my clothes are fancy and clean and pressed and ready to go, matching. I would love that. And matching. Yeah. Right, and all... designer and expensive.
And so, like, that's my question. Who cares if she reigned until she was 107? Like, you have no real power. You're just a figurehead of the royal family, which at this point, we all know you're just rich incest. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have a lot to say about the royals because I'm an American.
Right.
And we fought to not be one of them, or whatever. I just don't care about monarchs. It kind of shocks me that there are still monarchs today.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
It's weird.
Well... and that being said, that we fought to get out from under the rule of King George.
Yeah.
That's exactly what... I mean, Trump wants to be either a dictator or a king.
Oh.
He'll take anything that is like, you have absolute power.
Divine right, yeah.
Because at the time of King George, he had absolute power.
Yeah.
He actually had the power... And I mean, I'm sure there was other people.
Sure.
But King George had, and he was fucking crazy.
I don't know which one he is.
Well, he's, there's a whole thing about him called The Madness of King George.
Was he? Okay.
He was the one that was married to Queen Charlotte.
Okay.
But he was king when this whole thing happened. But he was the one who was like, oh, they're trying to get away from us. Let's tax them. Let's extra tax them. Let's do all this shit. But why?
Yeah.
And how can you, from across the ocean, I know I'm getting way off topic,
okay.
How can you, from across the ocean, tangents or topics,
yeah,
say, well, we're going to collect money from you. Well, they send armies over and go, we're taking your money. Well, we're just going to kill you.
And that's the best
But then why do we want to go back to that? Why do we want to go back to one person being absolutely in power?
We don't, but the person who wants the power does.
Right. And he's been very honest about that. And it's probably the one and only thing he's been honest about is that he loves all the world dictators. Loves them all. Loves them. Talks so highly about,
Kim Jong-un.
Putin. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, I love them. And
we're besties.
Me and Melania hang out with them and, whatever. It's like, that's not something to brag about.
Melania.
They're monsters.
You made her name sound more interesting. Melania. Melania. I like that way better than Melania.
And where the fuck has she been?
She's probably like, I don't want to do this again. I came here for a sugar daddy, for a green card, and guess what? Now I've had to be first lady.
Not nearly enough sugar.
No, and he's a gross daddy.
He's gross. Yeah. He is gross.
Yeah.
But, on that question, have you seen her? Because she was nowhere to be found during his trial.
Right. No.
I haven't seen her yet out on the... Maybe she was at the RNC. I didn't watch. Probably was there. But she has been very, persona non grata because she doesn't want to be associated with that guy. And unless she has completely renegotiated her contract with him, her marriage contract and her prenups and all that crap, which there is this big rumor that around the time of the first trial, the one... for the sexual...
Stormy Daniels?
No, the one where...
Grab her by the pussy? I don't know.
It was... The one where he was being sued.
Okay.
So it was a civil case as opposed to a criminal case.
Yeah.
That around that time, people were saying that she was renegotiating her,
her marriage contract.
But here's my thought.
Yeah.
If you are not actively... And I do mean Melania. If she's not actively... putting money in an account that no one else even knows is there, as he's giving her money and she's taking it and hiding it somewhere. If she's not, she's stupid.
Yeah, but she is.
Well, she seems stupid.
But
she did take the Rose Garden out of the White House and put a sidewalk there.
She is so dumb. But not that. But not to be that girl. But this wasn't her first rodeo. This wasn't her first rich white man.
No.
Do you know what I mean? She is squirreling away some money, which good for her, girl. That's what you should do.
I hope so.
Find all the old rich white men, take advantage of all of them, and take all their money. I don't know.
Yeah, the other thing that I can't... There's so many things. But one of the things I just can't wrap my head around...
Tell me what you can't even.
...is she and Michelle Obama.
Besties.
Both first ladies.
Yeah.
Michelle Obama, very accomplished, lawyer... author, whatever. She's done amazing things in her life. Melania, former sex worker.
Love.
And the Republicans from day one talked shit about Michelle Obama and how she looked like an ape, or how she looked like trash, or she was a man.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like all of these hate things. And, you know, whatever. And then called Melania the classiest first lady ever. I'm all, what?
Yeah, it's really funny.
And I don't give a shit that she was a sex worker. I don't give a shit that there's naked pictures of her. I don't.
No.
That's her business. I don't care.
Well, and she has a great body, so good for her.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, they, who went after everybody who even had the slightest bit of scandal, were like, well, should we love her? She's the best. She's the classiest. How?
Well, she showed you everything you were going to get before you purchased it.
I suppose so.
You know what I mean?
You know, you're right there. That is absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all on display.
You know, and I haven't seen her, but I didn't pay attention to any of that shit. I didn't pay attention to any of the trials. I didn't pay attention to any of it. Because I knew that the world would tell me, like, oh, you know, this is what's happening with Trump. But I'm not going to sit through every day the rigmarole of that bullshit, because it's too stressful for me. Right. I think he's a, scary man, and the country was really scary when he was president, and I think he would be an awful president. Again, even worse. But I can't watch him with regularity and feel okay about my life.
No. Well, and one of the things, my big hope is if we get Kamala into the presidency, is that something more will be done about all of this gun violence other than thoughts and prayers. Because frankly, in my opinion, you can take your thoughts and prayers and shove them up your ass because they do nothing. I mean, it's like every single time
my butt bigger?
I don't think so.
Thoughts and prayers, but
I'm thinking and praying that my ass should be bigger. Every time there's some gun violence, that's all the Republicans do. Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers. What are you praying for?
So I know it's not like a joking matter. I just rolled my eyes for all of you who can't see me. But there was a recent assassination attempt on Trump's life. I don't know if you saw that.
I did see that.
But all the videos of it and all the social media clips of it and whatever, it's just being trolled with people saying thoughts and prayers over and over and over, and it's
I love that.
Yeah. And I'm like, sorry, Donald Trump. Also, I want to mention something. I know this wasn't the topic, but you know there was that, like I just mentioned, assassination attempt. And do you know Jack Black?
Of course.
He's in a band called Tenacious D. He was in Australia with his co-bandmate. There's one guy, he's bald, big white guy. Said something that was a little off color about an assassination attempt on Trump. The next day, Jack Black basically stopped their tour, stopped all creative processing with this other guy that he's been in this band with forever, and said, I was shocked, and you know, that he would say something so offensive and whatever. And the guy apologized. He says, I just thought it was off the cuff. I'm a comedian. Like, it was in the middle of a show.
Right.
I am apologizing. But Jack Black took it so far, and I was, cutting all of it off, and now they're not in a band together. But I'm like, how stupid. Like, Jack Black,
You've been friends with this guy for 100 years, and he makes one comment.
One off-color comment. And I'm like, who even cares? And I'm just like, Jack Black, do you want to know why, though? It's because how many deals does he have going on right now? He has Jumanji, he has Kung Fu Panda, he has...
Oh, right.
You know what I mean?
Very...
Yeah, and he's
very
also...
industry.
And very pro-Israel. I know, I was very disappointed. Well, some of my favorite actors are, because Jamie Lee Curtis, I fucking love her. And she's pro-Israel. Hardcore. Makes me
and
sad.
That's the other... So, the gun thing.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the biggest issue that we have.
Okay.
Because... by the time that, you know, whether you believe it's real or whether you believe it was a stunt, you know, whatever, it happened and somebody died. That was the 35th shooting in July. Yeah. And it was what, July 6th? Mm-hmm. It was pretty early in the month. And that was the 35th gun incident in that month.
No. In the year?
No, in that month.
Really?
Yes.
Holy shit, okay.
And it's like, but we're doing nothing. And every time we call for something to be done, those people, and I mean the Republicans, the Christian nationalists, the people who are like, they're going to take your guns. But nobody's trying to take your motherfucking guns. We're trying to tell you that you don't need an assault rifle.
Yeah.
And nobody should be able to even have an assault rifle. No. It's stupid. No. You know, it's like, well, it's my right to... No, it's not.
No.
It isn't. If you want to own guns like your ancestors said it was your right to bear arms, go get yourself a musket and fuck off.
Well, also, have a hunting rifle. Have a pistol.
Sure.
Guess what? Neither of those things are going to commit mass murder at a rapid pace.
No.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, all people are saying is don't have assault rifles. Register your guns. Don't have assault rifles.
And have universal background checks.
Sure. And why I don't understand why
that's the other thing. Is like, why is that a problem?
Yeah, I don't understand.
If you think having a background check is a problem, I think you're the problem.
Yeah.
Because really, what is going to happen is someone has to wait a few days to buy a gun. And if you have this background that says you should not have a gun, you're not going to get one.
Well, and if everyone wants to talk about it's a mental health crisis and we don't ever want to deal with mental health, then maybe we should start doing background checks. I don't know, one or the other, bitch. Or maybe both. You know what I mean? Like, oh, well, he was just mentally ill. Okay, well, don't you think background checks would help that? You know what I mean? Like, have the potential to maybe stop some of that. But it's so much of, like, it's too much of people being like, oh, well, the government's just, their hands are in our business. They're just, well, sometimes, if you live in a society, there has to be some sort of regulation on some things. You know? Yeah. Things that can cause mass destruction should be fucking regulated. I don't know. Things that can kill people easily. Cars are regulated. Do you know what I mean?
That's the thing, too.
Yeah.
Is to have a car, by law, you have to have insurance.
Yeah.
Why don't you have to have insurance to own a gun?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Why don't you have to take classes? I think to own a gun, and I will, it's like, this isn't taking away anybody's rights, but I think to own a gun, you should have to go through safety classes.
Oh, agreed.
I think you should have to, prove to someone where you're going to lock that fucking gun up. Well, and the idiot who Trump chose for his running mate, his speech was all about how his grandma had 15 guns in her house when she died. There was one in every corner around. There was one in the kitchen drawer. There was one under her bed. Because no matter where she was in her house, she could protect herself. And the audience is cheering and screaming and going crazy. It's like, what?
I also just don't understand what kind of life that is. Like,
are you that paranoid?
Well, I'm already kind of a paranoid person, but I just close my blinds and lock my doors. Do you know what I mean? And like,
what?
And I just make
Instead
sure
of shooting out the window.
Yeah, it's so funny. I told Gavin though, I was like, I don't really want a gun. Should we get a bow and arrow? Should we get a crossbow? That's not a gun.
I'm sorry, but I find crossbows much more terrifying than guns.
Agreed. And guess what?
As that rips through you. Ooh.
Yeah. Well, listen, I decided actually I want to start throwing things. I want to start practicing throwing like hatchets and knives and throwing stars. So that way if anyone breaks in, I can just...
right.
I think that's so cool. That's so cool. Oh, man, that's way cooler than having a gun.
It's so brutal.
And
nothing.
Look.
I'm not saying it like it's a bad thing.
If I got good at it, I could just... Sorry.
The fuck was
I'm
that?
sorry. We just had an earthquake. Just kidding. My big fat fucking cat is still hungry from breakfast and just shoved her bowl right off the counter.
Yeah, that was fat phobic.
I don't care. I don't care. Take me, cancel me.
Right. You're so canceled.
I know.
Well, then you have idiots like Marjorie Taylor Greene. And no matter what, I don't care who you are, you have to know she's an idiot. I saw, and this was a while back, but I saw her in a news conference where they were talking about gun safety and whatever. And of course, she's all thoughts and prayers. And this woman who was a reporter from England said, in England... and in most other countries, there are no mass shootings because guns are regulated. And Marjorie Taylor Greene said, and I quote, but there's mass stabbings. How many people do you think you can stab before someone stops you? A mass stab. You just run around with a gun, a knife in each hand, just stab, stab, stab.
Was I not just talking about learning how to throw things? That would
right,
be me.
You were indeed. But then the reporter said, that's not a thing. To which Marjorie replied in her very clever way, well, go back to your own country then. That's your answer?
I know.
I'm not going to handle anything. I'm not going to even propose handling anything. But I'm going to say, oh, you don't belong here because this isn't your country. So if you don't like it here and you don't like that there's mass shootings every fucking day, go home.
Guess what? You know what?
Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers. That whole argument of like, oh, you don't like it? Then just leave. That is such a stupid fucking concept.
Absolutely.
Here's the thing. I don't like it when my car breaks down. I don't just leave it. I get it fixed.
What?
I don't like it when this doesn't happen. But like when Gav and I argue, I don't just leave him outside. We talk about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't like it when I'm sick, but I go to the doctor. I don't just kill myself. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Sometimes I feel like
work
I'm close
on the problem.
to it. Yeah.
You work on an actual solution.
That's what I'm saying. And so, like, so I'm allowed to live in a nation with all of these freedoms, and I'm allowed to critique the fucking nation, and I will do it with my full chest.
Well, that's it, too.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that also makes me just, like, crazy is they will scream and shout, they being the conservatives, about freedom of speech. Mm-hmm. But only when they want it. Mm-hmm. Because if we say something against it, it's like, we're trouble, we're the problem. It's like, but you're screaming about all your freedoms.
Yeah.
This is a universal freedom.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So the other day when I was at work, one of my clients, who's almost my age, a little younger, was talking about how, things have got to change. We can't elect, we got to make sure Trump doesn't get elected because of, America, we've got to keep our integrity. And I go, integrity?
Baby, what?
I was all, what integrity? And I said, look around. Because there is none.
No.
It's like, this is a country where it's, okay for everybody to go around shooting other people. You can hate everybody, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. And I don't like their ideology, but I don't hate conservatives just because they're conservative. I hate Donald Trump. I'm going to say that. I don't hate most of them. I just think they're stupid, but I don't hate them. I don't want to kill them. I mean, if it happens, I won't cry.
Don't listen.
But I said to her, I go, there has never been integrity. This country was founded on slavery, on genocide, on rape, on, it's like all of these things, destroying cultures because our culture should be the only one that counts. Where is this integrity you speak of?
Yeah, girl. And, like, not even just, like, the founding of America, but, like, or the United States specifically, but look how when the U.S. puts its nose in all of the political undoings in South America, when they stage coups and, instate, like, dictators, essentially. Look up Banana Republic. Not the brand, but look up, like, what Banana Republic is. Look up Bikini Atoll. Like, look up all of these, Vietnam, all these horrific fucking things that go look at Japan. All these horrible things that America has done in the lifetime of lots of fucking people who are still living.
Well, and I think probably the most obvious one that people have all heard of is Vietnam.
Yeah.
A war that we had no business getting in. Because it's a war that had been going on for decades.
Yeah.
And there were two sides to it, but none of them was our side. Mm-hmm. None of them we should have sent our people to. And on the note of war, I do want to mention this because I heard this morning and I was a little mind blown, except I wasn't really, because once I thought about it, I was like, of course. All of these men who talk about why men should be in power say, well, we're the ones that go to war. We're the ones who die in the wars. In each war, at least 10 times as many women die as men because they're considered part of the debris. They're, it's like they're the conquering. It's like, oh, well, there's women there.
Called?
Kill them. Rape them first.
Yeah.
Which
is like a traditional tenet of warfare.
Right.
Kill and rape women first. Yeah.
Literally 10 times more women have died in wars. Were they in battle? No. They were fighting for their lives because these soldiers came in and were like...
Well, and people don't consider that because people are like, well, men go to war and the men die in war. From the United States.
So they're the spoils of war, women?
But, like, from the United States perspective, but from every other invaded nation from the United States, women and children have been decimated.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing, is I don't look at us invading going anywhere as a good thing.
No.
Like, I don't think what we did in Iraq, what we did in Afghanistan, I don't think any of it. No, because we don't go where, weapons of mass destruction, or, we're here to help. You have decimated fucking everything.
Well, and even that weapons of mass destruction was nonsense.
Yeah.
It wasn't even true, and they later came out and said, oh, well, we made a mistake.
Sorry.
There was no, whoopsies.
Shit.
But we're not going to take our soldiers out of there, because now we've started this shit, and we got to stay there. It's like, mind your business.
Yeah, and a lot of times those people, if you ask, like, Iraqis who survived military occupation by the U.S., they would be like, yeah, like, some asshole was running the nation, but me and my family were happy and alive and got to live our lives and had our store and whatever it is, But now all of my children, my wife are dead, but thanks for reinstating a new leader.
Right. And thanks for making us have to live to your standards.
I hate that shit.
Absolutely.
Girl, I hate it.
For me, oh my God, who was the ignorant asshat? I saw...
Tell me.
This, and I wish I knew who he was. I just saw this clip of this minister speaking, and if you've seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about, where he was saying, was slavery bad? Yeah, it was terrible. But if you think about, had people not gone and invaded Africa and taken those people, would they have gone to heaven? No, because they wouldn't have known about God.
Bullshit.
So we saved them. I mean, yeah, it was kind of terrible what happened to them once we saved, but we saved them. It's like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. You honestly think that you, as a white man, a religious white man, a man of God, that it's even okay for you to say such things? Girl. Because we went to another country, we saved all those sinners. Girl. I mean, yeah, we killed a whole lot of them, blah, blah, blah. But we, we taught them about God.
So bonkers to me. It's so... Well, and the ironic thing is, the oldest Bible in existence is from Ethiopia.
Oh my God.
Because
so it's not white?
How many times are royalty or people from, like, Ethiopia mentioned in the Bible? Lots of fucking times.
Yeah.
It's because people went to Africa a lot of the time. And so... The idea that, like, oh, you didn't know about Christ. What? Like, what the fuck do you mean they didn't know about Christ? Like, then you saved them? So you think you, over here in the Americas, know more about Christianity and Jesus Christ than the people in Africa where people from the Christian Bible went to Africa?
You know what? Sense, if you're going to just spew this nonsense...
Well, I'm going to use one of Grandma's favorite lines recently. Well, if that's the logic you want to use...
Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers, girl.
I'm just going to give you my thoughts and prayers, but the ignorance of that statement.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, I don't give a shit what your religion is. No. I don't give a shit if you have a religion.
No.
Because it's not my fucking business.
Yeah,
I don't know how arrogant you have to be to say, well, I saved you from yourself. I saved you from this because you didn't know about my God.
You may have been enslaved and your children murdered and you were beaten and raped, but we saved you.
Oh my God. Blah, blah, blah with the death and destruction.
God, make us look like the bad guy.
Thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, thoughts and prayers.
So on that note, we're going to think about you and pray about you We're not. Once we're done here, we're not going to think about any of you people.
I don't even like any of you.
Of course we are.
Yeah. I never liked you anyway.
Thank you for listening.
Sure. Yeah,
Thank you for listening, and listen every week.
Yeah.
So like, share, subscribe.
Do it.
You can also, on most podcasting apps, you can give us a review.
Oh my God,
I would love that.
Please review it.
Please review us and tell us how wonderful we are. I mean, you can tell us how terrible we are.
Yeah, I love that.
And tell us that we're full of shit too. I don't care.
That's
as long as you're talking to us. We don't care.
Most things I say on the podcast are just not true. I just made them all up. So fact check me, bitch.
Well, half the time we do go, well, there was a person and they have a name.
Like the thing I said, like, oh, it was an event that took place at some point in time and there were people and there was, stuff happened.
Was it in Wisconsin?
I know, I don't know.
Oh, do you want to try the new Vince Camuto?
Stop and leave it.
Anyway, if you do want to, I mean, you can review our pod or you can just send us a message at, it would seem as though at gmail.com.
Yes.
But either way, come back next week because
we
do this every week and it comes out every Wednesday and
we'll be here talking shit.
Yeah, and we look forward to hearing from you.
We sure do. Okay, bye.
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 It would seem as though